The LC9s Pro by Ruger. Just a little something I picked up here at the local gun show here recently. Uh, yeah, it's a fantastic gun. I've gotten to take it to the range, fire a few rounds through it to start the break-in process, and I can say I can't really be happier about this gun. So a little bit about it. The Ruger LC9s, so you know, it just released the magazine. No brass in the chamber, so it's a clear gun. Just a little bit about it. The LC9s has some changes to it since the original LC9. The S, as you can kind of guess, it's striker fired versus the previous LC9, which was hammer fired. And the Pro model, which is this one, removed the thumb safety, which sat right here, and the trigger disconnect, which means that if I were to squeeze the trigger, it would fire. Right? That warning right there says, "Gun will fire with magazine removed." So that's printed nicely right there. Right? Overall, it's a very nice gun. I'm really happy with this purchase. So, a little bit about it. Alright, it's a single stack 9mm for those of you who aren't aware, and it comes with one magazine. Right? Retails at 400, around 400, 450, somewhere around there. Let me see, $479 is suggested retail. Alright, it weighs about 17.5 ounces, 0.9 inches wide, 3.12 inch barrel length. I'm just reading a little bit from their website here. Stands at 4.5 inches tall, has a 1 in 10 right hand rotation on the barrel. Let's see something else about it. Well, yeah. So, ended up picking this up pretty cheap at the gun show. Like I said, I think I paid $335 for this thing. So, really happy with the price. I couldn't complain at all. So, something you can see that I did right here on the LC9s. I had done a little whiteout color fill. Really simple. If you're interested, you just take some whiteout, you stick it in there, you wipe it off before it dries, and you get a nice little effect on there. You get a nice little fill. So, what drew me to this gun? Well, honestly, I didn't consider this gun for the longest time. I mean, yeah, the price played a part in it, but really I wasn't a fan of the Ruger LC9 series, or the Rugers in general, honestly. Sorry, Ruger, you're a great company, but wasn't really looking at your guns for the longest time. I was really looking at the M&P 9 Shield. Ended up going with this one because, I mean, I got to feel that trigger on there, and it was a very nice trigger. Let me reset that. It's 4.5 pounds, 4.5, 5.5. I can't remember exactly what the reading is, but it feels lighter than it is. I mean, as you can see, you got that trigger safety there, so you pull it back, you feel the first wall, you got a little bit of creep, and then it goes off. Very smooth, doesn't affect your sight picture while you have it acquired, even if you were to try to go at it real quick. It's going to be very nice and smooth. Some complaints I have with the gun, really there aren't too many. There's a 3-dot sight system, which could be a little better. The dots are rather small, so I mean, it's not really that big of a complaint at all. But compared to the M&P Shield, they're smaller than theirs. The takedown process is a little annoying. You gotta push down on this lever here. If I can get it down, there you go. And you can see a little pin. I have to line up the groove and then push it out from the other side. It's a little bit of a annoying process, but it wasn't too big of a deal. One thing that really got me was the slide release, slide lock. Very difficult to manipulate. I mean, it's not as difficult as the M&P, but it is still pretty heavy. It's just kind of what you get with the heavier spring tensions and all that stuff. So you'll have to get used to doing the two-handed, using both hands to drop the slide if you're in a reload situation. So another positive on the other side is the magazine release. Very nice, tactile. You can see it sticks up a little bit. It's right where your thumb naturally wants to go down to hit, or at least mine does. They had gotten rid of the loaded chamber indicator in preference for a peephole. See the brass? Like I said, I got to shoot about 200-300 rounds through it, and no major malfunctions aside from myself. I had accidentally pushed up on this while I was firing and it jammed the gun, or it locked it back prematurely. That's about it. So no fault on the gun so far, so I'm really happy with it. With this size of a gun, though, you're looking at a self-defense range weapon, so it's only going to be 7 to 10 yards effective range, or really 3 to 10 yard effective range if you're going closer. Farther than that, it's doable. You can make it work, but as with anything this size, the farther you go out, the less your accuracy is going to be versus a full size or even just regular compact firearm. Sacrifices, right? I got out and I grabbed another magazine. This one has the flat or flush magazine on there. Of course, you can always swap these out. You just push that button, slide it off. Real simple. But at the range, I realized that I did actually prefer the flush magazine. One, it just looks a little smoother to me anyway. And two, I don't really use my pinky when I'm firing anyway. I prefer to grab with these two. Puts a nice line with the forearm to keep it nice and still, so I don't accidentally jerk it down with my pinky. But it's more of a shooting practice, I guess, or philosophy. Yeah, LC9s Pro. I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but the Pro model had done away with the thumb safety and the magazine disconnect. Magazine disconnect is basically if the magazine is not in there, it will not fire. Kind of like this burst of thunder I have here. You can see no magazine. If I could pull this back and show you, no brass in there. So, magazine disconnect. Of course, it's on fire. No magazine, not firing. I'll do a little review on this gun as well, because I know there's a lot of people curious about that. But yeah, so 2 magazines, or it comes with one, and this little carrying case here. Sorry, I'm not really following much of a plan for this. I'm just kind of going with what comes to mind. So I bought the second magazine. So this is what it carries. It has each of these is a section of 7, so you have the 14 plus the one in the chamber. If you can get away with carrying a Glock 19 or something a little larger, go for that, because you get all of this inside of one magazine. So, again, I mean, it's sacrifices either way. You go for the thinner stuff, a thinner lower profile, or you go with something that can hold all that. Now, the Glock is more of my car gun, so yeah. One thing I hear a lot of people talking about is when they're looking at this is a desire for a pocket gun. Now, what can I say about that? This is on the larger end of what I consider a pocket gun. You can do it if you have big enough or deep enough pockets, but this would do best for ladies if you, as a purse gun. All you need to do is just make sure that that gets covered up, the trigger and all that, so it doesn't accidentally go off. Very nice on the hip or apex carry. You don't even notice it's there. It's so thin, it's so light, only 17 ounces like I mentioned before. Yeah, so I thank you for your patience with this video. It's going on quite long now, but just wanted to share a little bit of what I was thinking about it. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. You guys are awesome.